Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Danny. Um, and yeah, so today I'm really bummed because I won't be able to come to the summer camp. This summer I'll have to be in Europe with because of family uh, obligations. But I'm sure it'll be a great time. So anyway, it's a great pleasure and honor to at least be here um, today. And what I wanted to talk about is an activity that was suggested to me by Dave that I've really been enjoying thinking about, and we can call it "What Hat Am I Wearing?" Let me see if I can share. I just have a PDF um, before we start the activity. Let me try to share screen here. Okay, do people see a PDF? Yeah,
Yes.
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 great, thanks. And yeah, and please,
Yes.
awesome. And please, by the way, yeah, just interrupt me at any moment. Just chime right in, like take your unmute yourself and speak. Because yeah, it'll be fun. So okay, so what hat am I wearing? And I wanted to start us off with a riddle. You might have come across this riddle in different forms. I've tried to sum it up as follows. The people of this island have either black or red hats. Everyone knows the color of other people's hats because they can see them, but no one knows the color of their own hat because you don't see the color of your own hat. And there's this crazy rule that if someone finds out the color of their own hat, they need to leave the island at dawn. Okay, so that's the rule. It's a bit crazy, but there you have it. And then the island dwellers are very rational people. And once a traveler comes by and remarks that at least one of them has a red hat. Okay? And the question is, what happens then? So I'll just give you a minute to read it. Okay, this is a bit of a minimalist version. Um, I'm going to move on to another version of the same riddle. Okay, let's see the same riddle again. This I found on the internet. You can flourish it up when you say a riddle to the students. It can the language can be uh, better. Let's just quickly read it together. So, on an otherwise deserted and isolated island, 200 perfect logicians are stranded. The islanders are perfectly logical in every decision they make, and they will not do anything unless they are absolutely certain of the outcome. However, they cannot communicate with each other. They are forbidden from speaking with one another, or signing or writing messages in the sand, else they be shot dead by the captain of a mysterious ship that visits the island each night. Of the 200 islanders, some have blue eyes and some have brown eyes. However, no individual knows what color their own eyes are. There are no reflective surfaces on the island for the inhabitants to see a reflection of their own eyes. They can see the 199 other islanders in their eye colors, but any given individual doesn't know if his or her own eyes are brown, blue, or perhaps another color entirely. And remember, they cannot communicate with each other in any way under penalty of death. Each night, when the captain of the ship comes, the islanders have a chance to leave the barren and desolate spit of land they have been marooned on. If an islander tells the captain the color of his or her own eyes, they may moor the ship and leave. If they get it wrong, they will be shot dead. Now, there is one more person on the island, the guru, who the islanders know to always tell the truth. The guru has green eyes. One day, she stands up before all 200 islanders and says, I see a person with blue eyes. Who leaves the island and when do they leave? Okay, so that's the riddle. Is so we don't have to solve it right now, but is the riddle clear? Any questions that I can answer to clarify it? Does it make sense? So I will post this afterwards so that you can see it together with the other materials. But there is this island, and everyone has either, let's say, blue or brown eyes, but you don't know the color of your own eyes. And if you find out the color of your own eyes, then you can leave the island. And then at some point, someone comes and gives this piece of information that at least one person has blue eyes. And the question is, who leaves the island and when do they leave? Okay, I'm going to leave the short version of the riddle posted on the chat, which I'm going to use for the session. And then if you get bored or if you want to do something while we're doing the activity, you can think about the riddle and see if you have a discussion to a solution to propose by the end of the session, or maybe the session will help us solve it. Okay, any questions just about the riddle before we move on to the activity, and then I'll be hopefully talking less. Any questions about the rules of the game? You know, when you see a riddle of any kind, you need to make sure that you know what the rules of the game are. Are the rules of the game clear? The question is, yeah, whether anything happens. Okay, so let's get on with the activity. So for this activity, this is an activity that you could do with your students, and it's to simulate a logical deduction, and and um, and so at the beginning, the students are sat in a circle facing each other. Okay, let's suppose there's at least 5 students, and each of them is given a card, which they cannot look at. Okay, and they place that card on their forehead so that others can see it, but they cannot see their own card. The cards are either red or black. Um, and then in each round, the instructor gives the student a piece of information about the number of black and red cards. Okay, so you can picture the scene. There's a bunch of students in a circle, and people have like the cards there, and you can see the color red or black of everyone else, but you cannot see the color of your own card. And then some information is given, and at that point, you ask the students, okay, whether they know the color of their card, just based on what they can see and the information that has been given to them. Okay? And if you do know the color of your card, then you just raise your hand silently without saying anything. You just raise your hand silently. Okay? So in particular, you shouldn't discuss with the rest of the people what you think the color is or why. The only information that you're conveying is that you know the color of your own card. And then you discuss the process, and hopefully now we'll practice this activity amongst ourselves a few times, and you'll see the gist of the workflow. But that is the proposed activity, and I think it'll make more sense once we see some examples. But any questions about what the structure of the activity is? No questions? So it's crystal clear to everybody.
We think so.
Great. I'm just gonna copy paste, try and copy paste the steps on the chat. Okay, so again, I'm sure we can share these materials later in a better way, but just for your reference, I posted the steps in the chat, because now what I would like to do is I would like to practice the activity together.
Let me, I think we need to hit return on the chat because it didn't go through.
Say that again.
You might need to hit send, the little blue airplane, to make it get your chat get sent. This one didn't go through when you put the rules in.
I see it all the way to
Oh,
number
you see it.
4.
Oh, okay. So then I wanted to make one comment about on number 4, when each student raises their hand if they know it or not. You say figure out if you know it or not, and then everybody raise your hand at the same time. So it's not one by one in number 4.
Yeah, so sorry, Dave, you're just clarifying that everyone should raise their hand at the same time if they know it?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And by the way, Dave, this reminds me, I should credit this book, Camp Logic, from which you told me about this. Did you want to? You said that was a resource worth mentioning anyway.
I can put a screenshot and I will put a link to it on the webpage. I will use the camera after you're done. I'll know where this comes from.
Okay, so the way I'm going to try and do this is I'm going to I'm going to recruit some volunteers, and then I'm going to, with the chat, send you private chats, okay, telling you what you see, okay, in the private chat. And then if you feel like you know the color of your card based on what you see, you can let me know, and then we can share the information with the group after each round and try to analyze what happened, and you'll get a feel for the flow. So let me open this. Okay, so now I need some volunteers, or I can start. So now I'm going to give you a piece of information. There is exactly one red card. Okay, so raise your hand on Zoom if you know what your color is. Okay, see if Ophelia is raised. And Jason, and Michelle. Tim is saying I know in the chat. Anyone else knows? Okay, so you've been told what you see, and I've told you that there's exactly one red card. Okay, so fine. So let's see why there's so much confidence in what their card is. And remember, for everyone else, people have been given red or black cards, and they are only seeing what other people have. And it seems like there was a lot of confidence in what cards they have after they tell them that there's exactly one red card. Ophelia, do you want to share why you were so sure?
Do I say my color, my card color?
Yeah. So now you can share what you saw.
Okay. I see all black colors. So I have the red.
Okay, so everyone understood that. Like there were a bunch of red and black cards. I've told the group there's exactly one red, and all that Perfilia saw was black. So she knows that her card is red. It has to be the only one red. Does that make sense for everyone? Okay, but Perfilia wasn't the only one who was sure. Who else thought they knew their card? Do you want to share? Why?
Hi,
This is
Daniel.
Michelle. I can go.
Oh.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. Whoever.
I knew my card was black because you said one card was red. I could see it, and the rest were black. I had to be in the rest.
Okay, was
Mine
that
was the same.
was that similar logic for other people?
Yes.
Right. So for everyone else, I've told them that there's exactly one red card, and they see it, it's on Perfilia's forehead, and they're like, oh yeah, well, Perfilia's the red card, so I must be black. So everyone else knows they're black. Okay, so in this case, everyone had enough information to know their color right away. Okay, so this is round one. You know, we're starting. It's not particularly like deep, but like we're beginning to play the game. So was it clear to everyone how that worked? Any questions?
No questions.
All right. Shall we play round two? Let's play round two. So I'm gonna now need volunteers for round two. So now the information I'm going to tell you is that there's exactly 3 red cards. Okay, so who knows the color of their card? There's exactly 3 red cards. Okay, see a bunch of hands. Exactly 3 red cards. Okay, so a lot of people seem to again immediately know. So why don't you share with the rest of the group like what you saw and how that led you to be so sure of the color of your own card?
Well, this is Suzanne. I'm black. And you said I see 3 red cards. I see them out there. 3 people that have red. So I can't be that 3. I'm black. Because I'm seeing them.
Sounds very convincing to me. Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else want to share the logic? How about someone who was um someone who was red?
I'm red
Okay, so why were you so sure?
because I see 2 red and the rest black.
Right? And I've told them that there's 3 reds, so you must be the red one.
Yes. So I have to leave the island.
That's right. So you have to leave the island. You're expelled from the reality TV show. The eyes. Okay, so that was again pretty similar to the first round, but just with slightly different number of reds and blacks. But but again, immediately there's enough information for everyone to know what card they had. Did that make sense to everyone? Okay. So now we're ready for round 3. Any questions or comments so far before we move on to the next round?
No.
Okay. All right. All right. So round 3. Round 3. I need some volunteers. Who wants to? Okay, so round 3. Let me start telling you what you can see. So players, you should now have all been told what you can see. Okay? So now all the players can see the cards that the other people have, and I'm going to give you a piece of information. And again, if you know the color of your card, then let everyone know, but only reveal that. Don't reveal anything more. Okay, so the information that I'm giving you is that there is at least 1 red card. There is at least 1 red card. Okay? Does anyone know the color of their own card? Okay? So there's a couple of hands up. Does Dina or Pandora want to share?
I am black
Okay. How do you know?
because I see one red card.
But I've only told you that there is at least one red card. There
Oh,
could be
at
more than one.
least.
I said what I said is that there's at least one red card. So you see a red card, but there could be two. Okay, so let me make sure that for everyone else that's not playing, that they know what's going on. So I've given some cards red and black, and people have them on their foreheads. Okay, and Pandora can see all black cards, but except one, which is red. Okay, and the information that I said is there is at least one red card. So from that alone, you cannot conclude anything because there could be one or two red cards, so your card could be either red or black. The fact that you see a red card isn't, if I told you there was exactly one red card and you saw a red card, which was the previous rounds, then yes. But if I just tell you there's at least a red card, not enough information. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Okay, but other people had their hands up too. Stephanie, you want to share? You want to share why you think you know the color of your card?
I'm the red card. I see all black.
Okay, so Stephanie sees all black. Everyone else has a black card. But I've said there's at least one red card. And so then it must be red. Then it must be that yours is the unique red card in the pack. And so, okay, in this case,
I'm the only one that can be sure that I am that color because I see the other color.
okay, so does that first step make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, any questions?
I see one red and the rest black.
Right.
So
So go ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, this is Lucinda. I see one red and the rest is black. So I'm black and there's just one red and everybody else is black.
You
Well-
can't know that for sure because you know there's only at least one. The only one that can be sure is me because I see only black.
So, but so you see, like the way that you would play this game with kids is actually like the following thing would happen. Like you would ask, who knows the color of their card? And so at first, because I've only said that there's at least one red card, and Stephanie is the only one who sees all black ones, so they know that they must have the red card. Stephanie will put up their hand. But the others will not put up their hand because everyone else is not sure if there's one or two red cards.
If they're actually sitting in a circle facing each other, they would know. But in this situation, not until we get more information, like what we just did.
No, but I mean, here I'm giving you the exact same information that you would have in the circle. It's just the color of other people's cards.
So if I see one red, then I know I'm black.
It depends on how many blacks and how many reds. In this case, the information that I was sharing is that there is at least one red card, but there could be two, there could be three. I'm just saying there's not zero.
Mm.
And so that's why it's only the person that only sees black cards that can be sure that they have the red card. Because for the other people, they see a red card, but it could be that there's two red cards and their card is red, or it could be that there's only one red card and their card is black.
So it's just about semantics.
Right. Well, you know, with logic and stuff, it's really funny how yeah, very slight changes in the wording of the sentence can have profound differences in the logical implications. So it's also like, I guess it's a good exercise for the students to listen also of exactly what information is being said. But yeah, that's right. The phrasing matters a lot. But then another comment that I wanted to make is that so you know, you imagine you have the situation playing out in a circle, and so at the beginning there's only one person that is sure, and so they raise their hand, but then everyone else observes that this person raised their hand and everyone else didn't. And the only way that they would raise their hand is if they saw all black, and then they have the unique red. Because if Stephanie had been in the same situation as everyone else, then they wouldn't have raised their hand. So the fact that Stephanie raised their hand then tells everyone that actually there's only one red and they must have black. So there's kind of a second round of logic after you have the information that the only person raising their hand is Stephanie, which does allow all the other players to conclude that their card had to be black. Let me write that out in the chat to sum up the logic, right? So again, here, Stephanie could see all black. Everyone else saw one red, Stephanie's, and rest black. The information is, oh, I'm sending a direct message to Rochelle Curry. That's not what I want to do. Okay, here we go. Yeah, and then the information is that there is at least one red card. So in the first round, Stephanie knows her card is red. Others don't know. So Stephanie puts up hand and others don't. That's like the first thing that happens. But then after that, you know, everyone else observes that Stephanie raised her hand, which would only happen if she saw all black. So she must have the only red. Okay, so I tried to sum up there in the chat the two distinct logical steps that would happen in this round after the initial information is given. The first, the logical step that Stephanie takes to determine that because there's at least a red and everyone else is black, her card must be red, and so raising hand. And then everyone else observing that fact, and from that deducing that she must have made that logical deduction, and therefore she has the only red and everyone else is black. And so in the end, everyone ends up knowing their color. It just takes two steps. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I know I'm black. After I find out that Stephanie is
right.
After I find out Stephanie's red. Okay. Because I have the same message. I see one red and the rest black.
Yeah.
So I can only be certain that I'm black after I hear Stephanie is red.
Well, actually, so you in fact need a little bit less information. You don't need to know that Stephanie is red. The only thing that you needed to know is that Stephanie knows the color of her card. And that information was given just by the raising of the hand.
Okay.
So like that same logical step, the only input that is needed is the fact that Stephanie is sure of the color of her card. That alone is enough.
Okay, thank you. It makes sense.
And,
but when you say at least,
yeah,
then the others are going to be wondering whether they're the one that got a red as well.
Yeah, they don't know. That's right. The others don't know. At the beginning, the others just don't have enough information to make any decision on what their card is, because there could be only one red card or two red cards. They just don't know.
I think we have to remember though that we're not sure unless we know how well that person thinks logically.
Okay, you are absolutely right, but then you're dealing with forces greater than, the scope of mathematics. I mean, like, you're right, but like, but if you start second guessing people's errors and stuff, of course, in real life you have to do that. But I think for the purposes of this game, it's good to, try and practice like very careful logic, and again, like, particularly with kids and stuff, if they're having trouble with the logic, you just repeat over and over round one, until like everyone really gets it, and then you just do small variations of round two and stuff, and you just work your way, and then every time then, but what's important is also after a round to then discuss what happened, because it might well happen that someone is using a logic that doesn't quite pan out, but then that's valuable because you get a chance to discuss that logic with the students after the round, and that's a great exercise. So I think as long as you really dissect what happened, like if you just do it and then it didn't make sense, and then that's not fun. But if you just take the time to try and understand what went wrong, I think it's very valuable. Okay, any other questions or comments or remarks or thoughts on the activity? We might try to play like one more round, but
So I'm still black. Just had to say it, Dan. Sorry.
What do you mean you're still black?
Because of your logic there that you mentioned it. Because that's what I said in the beginning. I was black.
Well, no, but right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to throw curveball there.
Yeah, this is Lucinda, and what I got was you see one red and the rest black.
That's right.
So the one red is out there, and that's what I see, and the rest is black.
Yes.
I know I'm black.
Why? There could be two red ones.
Because there's just one red out there.
But you don't know that.
Said at least.
Yes, at least changes it.
Once Stephanie says she knows she's red, then we know we're black.
Yeah.
There could be two reds. There could be, the only thing, if you see all black and one red, you know that there's either one red or two red, for sure. Because your card is either black and then there's one red, or it's red and then there's two red. So the only thing that seeing all black and one red tells, in the same way that Stephanie, the only thing that seeing all black told her is that it was either all black or all black and one red. And then I said there's at least one red, so yeah, so it's got to be all black and one red. But you never know your own card. So if you see all black and one red, there's either one or two red, and you just don't have enough information. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, it makes sense. So when I see Stephanie raises her hand and she is red, is that right? I know that I'm black. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the other possibility is that you were red, in which case Stephanie would have seen all black and one red, and then Stephanie wouldn't have enough information to act, and so Stephanie wouldn't have raised her hand.
Okay.
So it must be the case that you are black.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think we probably have time for a final round. So let me get volunteers for the final round. It is round 4, the most exciting yet. The others are
I
black.
fell asleep on this guy. He's fucking boring.
Say that again. Okay, so does anyone of the players that have been handed their cards, is anyone sure of the color of their card?
I'm sure of mine.
Okay, well let's share
Okay.
your reasons.
I'm pretty sure my card is black because I see 2 red and the rest are all black. And you said there's at least 1 or 2 red. So I'm pretty sure I'm black.
Yes. I think that makes sense. Does anyone else feel the
Okay,
same way?
this is Suzanne.
Yeah.
I know I'm black because I see 2 red and the rest are black. And you said 1 or 2 are red. So I just took the biggest number, 2 reds. I already see 2 reds, so I must be black.
Okay, that sounds convincing. Does anyone who, so some people could see 1 red and the rest black. Did someone who see only 1 red and the rest black raise their hand? And if so, could you share why?
I see 1 red and the rest black, so I must be red because I know that those 2 who earlier said they saw 2 red, so there must be 2 red, and I'm the second one.
Oh.
So you see 1 red and the rest black?
Yes, I do.
And I've told you that there's either 1 or 2 red cards.
Yes.
So.
And I'm sure there are 2 red cards because they saw 2 red cards because they had their they were very sure they had
because
black.
But because they said it.
Because they said it.
Yeah. Fine. Okay, sure. Yeah, totally. Okay, so fine. So let's recap. So this was another similar round, but again we changed the numbers, but basically everyone, depending on what they could see, had 2 possibilities. Some people saw 1 red, and so the 2 possibilities are either there's exactly 1 red and I'm black, or there's 2 reds and I'm red. And then people who saw 2 reds, and for those people, the 2 possibilities were there's either 2 reds or 3 reds. And I tell you there's either 1 or 2 reds. So everyone who had black is now sure that it has to be 2 reds and they must be black. But the people who could only see 1 red, I've given them no information because they already knew that there's either 1 red card or 2 red cards. So the people that only saw 1 red card at the beginning, they really don't know. And so you should have half the group raising their hands in this example. The students with the black cards would raise their hands. But then, like Jason explained, the people that had a red card that could only see 1 red, then know that because all of them raise their hands, then they must all have black, and therefore, yeah, they are red. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I'm going to tell you what you can see. Okay, we've just got one more. All right. So all the players should have received the information of what they can see. And now I'm going to tell you that there is at least one red card. There could be one, there could be two, there could be three or more. I'm just telling you that there's at least one red card. Okay, so does anyone know the color of their card? Okay, so again, I'm going to recall the situation for everyone. So now I'm playing this round. It's round 5, and I've given people some cards, and they can see the cards on the other people's heads. And I've told them that there's at least one red card. And I ask if anyone knows the color of their card. So no one knows? Okay, so now I want you to ask the following question. What can you deduce from the fact that no one knows? Let's see if this piece of information, the fact that...
This must be the red card.
Say that again?
One of us must be the red card.
So there's definitely at least one red card. There could be 1, 2, 3, or more. And that's the first piece of information that you're given, that there's at least a red card. And then the second piece of information that you have is that no one is sure right away of what their card is.
How many of us have cards?
5. Though it should not matter.
I would say everybody has a red card.
So it could be, right? And at some point, one way to approach this kind of thing is by brute force and to indeed just think of all the possible cases. So for example, imagine that there was only one red card, okay? And imagine that I say there is at least a red card. Then the same thing as in the last round would have happened, and someone would have put their hand up.
So I'm black.
Okay, but don't tell me what you are. Tell me what you're, how you.
Because you're telling me that I see one red card and all the rest black. So I'm not the red card.
But there could be 2 red cards, and you could also have a red card. I've only told you there's at least one red card. There could be more.
But in my message, or you're telling, what you told me is that I'm seeing one red card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? So you currently don't know if there's 1 or 2. You could be black and then there's 1 red card, or you could be red. But you see, if there had been only 1 red card handed out, then there would have been a person that would have seen all black. And then when I say that there is at least a red card, that person would have raised their hand. Just like Stephanie did last round. Like right away. It's like, I see all black, you tell me there's a red, that's it, I know it, I'm red. And this time around, there was no one whose hand shot up like that. So it must be the case that there's more than 1 red card. It must be the case that there's at least 2 red cards. Does that logical step make sense? Again, I'm going to repeat it. I've told you that there's at least a red card. Okay? And in the previous round, there was exactly 1 red card. Stephanie had it, and so she saw all black. So then she immediately knew that she was the unique red one, and so she put her hand up. In this round that we're doing now, it's very similar. I say there's at least 1 red card, and this time no one's hand shoots up. So it must be the case that there's more than 1 red card. It must be the case that there's at least 2 red cards. And then with that information, does anyone now know the color of their card? If I tell you there's at least 2 red cards.
Yes.
Okay, why? Mark.
I am red. I am black because a while ago we said if it's just seeing one red card. So I am black because I see the red card.
But you, Mark, you were seeing two red and the rest black, correct?
Yes.
So there could be three red or two red.
I guess we just need more information.
Mark does, because Mark sees two red and the rest black. So there could be two red or three red. And so this new piece of information that we've deduced that there is at least two red cards is not telling him anything new. But for some other players, it is saying something new. For who here is it relevant that I tell you that there's at least two red cards?
The one that only sees one red card.
Okay, so did anyone only see one red card?
I did. I saw one card and the rest black.
Okay, so now you know that you must have the second red card. Okay, so let me spell that out again in the chat, like we did for the previous one, the steps of the logic. Okay, so again, recall this riddle. There's people in this island and they have either black or red hats. Everyone knows the color of other people's hats, but no one knows the color of their own hat. Okay, and there is a rule. If someone finds out the color of their own hat, they need to leave the island at dawn. Okay? And the island dwellers are very rational people. So they always act rationally. Once a traveler comes by and remarks, at least one of you has a red hat. What happens? Okay, so let me ask you a question. What would happen if there was only one island dweller with a red hat? Imagine that only one of the island dwellers has a red hat. And someone comes and remarks, at least one of you guys has a red hat. What would happen then?
The person that sees all the other hats that aren't red knows that he has a red hat.
That's right. That person would see all the other hats black. And because there's an island, and because a traveler says there's at least one of them that has a red hat, they would leave the island at dawn. Okay, so if you want to think about the riddle, I then encourage you to think of what happens if there were exactly two people with red hats. And then think about three people, and so on. Okay, so that's my hint. And if you want, there's a solution posted at the end of this these materials that we can hand out. And I think I'm over time, so I will finish now. But thank you very much for your attention and participation.
It's called Camp Logic. And so I will put a link to this. This is actually available on Maria Drskova's Natural Math website. You may have remembered Maria did a session on the Ukrainian shirt designs a few workshops ago. If you really remember back, she came to Danae College with mirrors for people to look in and pretty flowers and things to look at symmetrical patterns. One nice thing about their site is there is a pay as much as you can option for this book. It has not only the hat puzzles that Mark was Mark is the author. Mark Thal has also visited us. That Dani was describing. It has many others like puzzles where you have letters that represent numbers that you can plug out, and it describes ways of using these activities. It's something kind of fun.